We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
Hello, and welcome once again to another fantastic Tuesday. My name is Tyrone Glover, and I am the host of Leverage Your Score right here in Yonkers, New York. I want to thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This is going to be another great show, so buckle in. Prior to getting started, as always, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is, again, the most important part of my day. Every day is an important part because I'm thankful to be alive. I'm thankful to be awoke. I'm thankful to be part of this everyday comings and goings. I give Creator the thanks. I give my family the thanks. I give my nephews and nieces, my brothers and sisters, my friends, everyone. Thank you for supporting me and giving me all of that, what I need to make sure that these shows go as successful as they can. I want to thank Soul City Network. I want to thank Tony. I want to thank Dr. Yana B. I want to thank Matt. I want to thank Jasmine, all the creators behind the scenes that you don't get to see. They make it happen for me every single week. Thank you. So much grateful. So grateful for all of what you do. As always, let's go ahead and chime some people in. Grab that wonderful device and bring some people in. If you're here, bring a body in. Bring one body in. That's all I ever ask. One person. If you're here, go right out there and bring one person in. I want to give a shout out also to those who are traveling about. Please be safe. And let's dive into the subject matter. We're going to be talking about something that I believe is going to shake you, break you, and probably remake you. Okay, it's going to shake you, break you, and probably remake you. It's talking about bad debt deductions. Ooh, what is that? Yeah, it's a legal term that is, well, not necessarily legal. It's an IRS term. I guess there's some legalities behind it as well, but it helps you with understanding all of the things that you must know when it comes to your debt. Who holds it? Who's the original creditor? What's a third party? Who are all these people involved in your debt? Because it's kind of weird that we don't know who's involved in our debt. But today, you're going to get a full breakdown of bad debt deduction. All right? So let's go ahead and get this party started. First slide. Let's do this. So as bad debt deduction, what is it? How does it work? How does it play for me? Bad debt deduction, the breakdown. Bad debt deduction, topic number 453 is what we're going to be talking about today. And I'm going to give you, as I said, the rundown. I'm going to let you know exactly how this plays out and what you have to do to make sure that everything, again, bad debt deduction is going to play against you if you do not, respond to certain understandings. All right? And I'm going to talk about those understandings. I'm going to make sure that you fully are aware of what is to take place. All right, so don't worry. I'm going to make sure you have everything you need. Everything you need to make sure that you can follow along and stay abreast. Again, this is going to help you if you are in a credit card situation where you have not met the contractual obligation, if you are in a renting situation where you have not met the contractual obligation, any type of contractual obligation civilly that you are unable to successfully navigate through, whether it be yours or the lender. This is going to help you clarify who do you really owe. And if the original creditor decides to write this off, because again, IRS topic, if the original creditor decides to write it off, should you pay a third party? All right, that's basically what this is going to be covering. Okay. All right, we're gonna move right along, moving it to over. All right, so today's agenda: bad debt deduction is going to cover two areas: business bad debts, because of course you need to know what debts we're talking about. Business bad debt, and we're also equally talking about non-business bad debt. So again, one is for business, one is for a person, and then I'm going to give you some contact details, and then I'm going to tell you about some upcoming events. So I'm going to not go really fast through it, but I'm going to give you some time to digest it properly and also be able to walk yourself through whatever it is. Also, if you have questions, don't hesitate to pop them questions in the in the YouTube area, or don't forget to drop those comments and questions in the comment and questions section. All right. So as we get this party started, so all right, so before I get started, I want to introduce myself. My name is Tyrone Glover, and I'm probably the only person who truly and sincerely cares about your financial well-being, besides yourself, obviously. I've spent the past 3 decades exploring the theft of personal financial resources and generational wealth. Yes, watching our generational wealth and personal finances just be stolen. Now, some of it, again, we have to take ownership, and we're going to take ownership. 10% of that is your ownership. I'm telling you, that's all you need to carry, because 90% of that has been done with the understanding of someone else. Okay? That hasn't been you. Was it you? Was it you? I'm going to reinforce. You're carrying around baggage that you don't necessarily need to be carrying around. All right? 90% of what you think is your responsibility is no longer your responsibility, because you've been duped. You've been played. You've been taken advantage of. And my findings will alarm you, and they will equally disturb you. All right? My knowledge, education, expertise, exposure, and skills in the above mentioned areas could help millions recover and rebuild from decades of financial abuse. All right, that's alarming. Could help millions recover and rebuild. And why I choose to use the word recover is because debt, credit, money, spending, these are all behavioral things. And we have to rethink behavioral concerns. You can't beat it out. You can't yell it out. You have to recover from these understandings. You can't go back and forth with the lender and the lender with you and things of that nature. The lender has protections, and you, as the borrower, you equally have protections. This is what's going to cover that today. So I'm grateful to the opportunity that's been given to me to be able to express these really cool understandings. So take some notes, write some things down, and again, if you have to, if you need to, make sure that you are, again, sending me over any questions that you may have as we proceed through the understanding today. All right, bad debt deduction is what we're talking about. All right, so if someone owes you money which you cannot collect, you have a bad debt. All right, it's just that simple. If somebody owes you money which you cannot collect, you have a bad debt. All right, for a discussion of what constitutes a valid debt, refer to the publication 550. Again, this we're talking about the IRS. All right, refer to the publication 550, investment income and expenses, and publication 535, business expenses. That's just going to give you a valid understanding or what constitutes as a valid debt. Generally, to deduct a bad debt, you must have previously included the amount in your income or loaned out your cash. All right, so you added it to something that you already know, you gave it to somebody in any form as income, or you loaned it out as cash. Okay, if you're a cash method taxpayer, most individuals are, You generally cannot take a bad debt deduction for unpaid wages, salaries, rent, fees, interest, dividends, or similar items. All right, we're talking about loans per se, something that you gave someone under a contractual understanding. For a bad debt, you must show at the time of transaction you intended to make a loan and not a gift. All right, please make sure that that individual or company, whatever it is, understands this is a loan and not a gift. If you lend money to a relative or friend with the understanding the relative or friend may not repay it, then again, it must be considered as a gift. But if you draw out a contract and you are making sure that that person understands and they don't repay, then that becomes a bad debt deduction. All right, there are two kinds of bad debt deductions. We're going to jump right into the business one and then follow that with the non-business. All right, so a bad business debt. All right, what is bad business debt? Generally, a business debt is a loss of worthlessness of a debt. All right, worthlessness of a debt. Please remember that, worthless. If your lender decides to charge something off, they're basically telling you it's worthless. That's what they're telling you. They're charging it off. They're taking that deduction that comes with the worthlessness of that debt. All right, which was either created or acquired in a trade or business or closely related to a trade or business when it became partially or totally worthless. All right, there it is. There it is. In a business trade closely related to, again, acquired, created, or in a business trade. And you got to be careful because a lot of these companies out there think that, oh, I'm working for the original creditor. They're not, and I'll talk about that later on down the road. As debt is closely related to the trade or business, if your primary motive of incurring a debt is business related, all right? If you're borrowing from a bank, that's business related. If you're borrowing from a third party, that's business related. If you're borrowing from a family member and it's drawn up in a contractual understanding, that's business related. Right? You don't have to necessarily draw it up in a contract, but to cover yourself, I would definitely put it into a contract. A handshake, verbally. Again, these things still apply today as a contractual understanding. But to cover yourself, definitely put it in writing. All right? You can deduct it on Schedule C, Form 1040, profit and loss from businesses, sole proprietors, or on your applicable business income taxes. All right, there you have it right there for business bad debt. Right there, closely related to a trade or business. All right, if you created it, if it was acquired, or if it was in a trade or business. That's what I want you to walk away with. The lender creates it. The lender can then call it a business bad debt. So if they write it off, I'm telling you, you are protected. If they write it off, they're basically telling you, hey, we don't need to come after you any longer, so why should it stay on your credit report? Why should you not be able to equally get the same understanding that your lender gets? The laws are there to protect you, and there's 5 consumer rights that are there to protect you. 5. All right? You don't know them. You don't know your rights. That's why I'm doing this one, because a lot of you are going to end up in court for debt. You're going to end up in court for rent. You're going to end up in court for credit cards. You're going to end up in court for cars. You're going to end up in court with what we're seeing today throughout the media, throughout the TV, throughout the airwaves. You're seeing it. You're hearing it. You're going to end up in court. It's only a matter of time before it happens. Prior to getting there, you're going to need this information. And if you have this information, it's going to save you. It's going to save you. So the following are examples of business bad debt if previously included in income. Loans to a client, suppliers, distributors, and employees. Loans to clients, suppliers, distributors, and employees. All right, the biggest one that we have to worry about is obviously our clients. If you are a business, then you have distributors and you have suppliers. Also, equally, you have employees. And as I stated, I hope you are putting these into some form of a contractual understanding. Verbal's good, or verbial. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. Producing it in that manner, a verbal response is good. Woo, that was a challenging one. Also, equally, a handshake is good. Again, you're just stop sealing the deal. And also, equally, as I stated, a written out contract. Creditor sales to consumers or business loan guarantees. All right, so these are the things that you have. If you fall into those categories, you have a item that fits into that understanding. You definitely need to know if this item gets written off. Do you owe the original creditor or do you owe the third party? And I'm here to tell you now, you don't owe none of them. Oh yeah, seems like you should owe somebody because hey, I got into this obligation, and why don't I owe anyone? Well, I'm going to tell you because the original creditor now gets the opportunity of writing it off. They can renegotiate with you, but they're choosing not to because they have this protection. But if they choose to not renegotiate with you and keep it open, and again, go the process, go the length, which they can, but they know that there's some type of protection there. And most lenders, Chase, Wells Fargo, Citi, third-party lending opportunities, they know about this. They don't think you know about this. And that's the thing. I want to make sure that every consumer understands exactly what they are entitled to. All right, a bad debt deduction is what the original creditor is going to take, and then he's going to sell that debt to a third party. And I'll get to that in a little bit. A business deduction isn't bad debt in full or in part. All right, a business deducts its bad debts in full or in part from gross income when figuring its taxable income. All right, so for more information on the methods of claiming business bad debt, refer to the publication 535, Business Expenses. This is all from the IRS. This is nothing that Mr. Glover is reaching out of the sky to pull. This is nothing that I'm reaching out of my own brain. Nope, this is all IRS. I take more than enough understanding to go to the source to be able to give you exactly what you need to do and understand, because I'm telling you, as I'm sitting here today, as I'm speaking with you, there's a lot of you who are going to end up in court. There's a lot of you going to end up in court for rent situations. I know it's going to happen because I'm seeing it already. There's a lot of you who are going to end up in court for credit cards. I'm seeing it, not only seeing it, I'm helping consumers get out of those types of situations. There's a lot of you who are going to be in for auto loans that you have not met the contractual obligation. Again, they take that vehicle back, they resell it. They're not telling you exactly the amount that they're getting for that vehicle. But yet they're throwing right on your credit report that you owe still the full amount. Not the case. Not the case. If you are unsure, I want you at a later date to please reach out to Leverage Credit Recovery and also Soul City Network. Reach out to them. They can forward my information to you. If you're concerned about whether or not you should pay a third party, pay the original creditor prior to, or if you see on your credit report that there is a charge off, we need to talk. I'm just letting you know, we need to talk. All right, let's talk about that non-business bad debt. All right, all other debt are non-business. All right, all other debts are non-business. Non-business bad debt must be totally worthless to be deducted. All right, it must be totally worthless. You cannot deduct a partially worthless non-business debt. All right, but the majority of us are dealing with business-related debt. But I wanted to just bring this in there so that you have an understanding what is the business-related debt and then what is the non-business-related debt. A debt becomes worthless when the surrounding facts and circumstances indicate there's no relationship expectation that the debt will be repaid. To show that a debt is worthless, you must establish that you're taking reasonable steps to collect the debt. It is not necessary to go to court if you can show that the judgment of the court would be uncollectible. So again, there's things that you can do to non-business debt that you can also write off without having the heavy load of taking someone to court, making sure that every T is crossed and every I is dotted. All right, you may take the deduction only in the year the deduction becomes worthless. You do not have to wait until the debt is due to determine that it is worthless. All right, this is for individuals giving gifts, individuals doing things that they already know. Hey, I'm not going to get that money back. It's not a business understanding, but I need to make sure that I can write this off on my taxes. And this is where that comes in. So reporting non-business bad debt is a short-term capital loss on Form 8949. Sales and other sales and other dispositions of capital asset, Part 1, Line 1. All right, so that's sales and other dispositions of capital assets, Part 1, Line 1. If you are taking a non-business bad debt. All right, you still need some more clarity on that, please get with me. Send me an email, leveragecreditrecovery@gmail.com. Send me a response through Soul City. Definitely reach out to me. I want to make sure that everybody understands what the business portion. Do you owe any third party or original creditor once they charge it off? And also now that you know what a non-business bad debt is, hopefully this will help you with cataloging these properly and then getting the right understanding as to who you may owe. All right, the statement must contain a description of the debt, including the amount and the date it became due, name of the debtor, and or business or family relationship between you and the debtor. So again, even when you give money away to family, you can still get it back. Even when you give money away to businesses, yeah, you can still get it back. All right, you just got to know how to get it back. But mainly what I want every single person to understand is that bad business debt. Don't get caught with your shirt untucked when it comes to that bad business debt. Do not. Businesses can write that off and they're turning around and they're double dipping. Okay, they're double dipping. Anyone double dipping, that's not cool. It's not cool because eventually we, the consumer, are getting harmed by it. But if we don't do our due diligence, they're just capitalizing. So what is an original creditor? And what is the difference between an original creditor and a debt collector? This is really important to know. The original creditor, the person that originated the loan, and the debt collector, someone that acquires the trade in a off-site understanding after that debt has been charged off, after that debt has gone through the bad debt deduction. That's when the debt collector comes in play. You do not owe a third party. I'm going to keep saying it over and over and over and over. You do not owe a third party unless you get into a contractual understanding. And most of these third parties, they will try to dupe you into a contractual understanding. Oh, well, this is a debt from Capital One, and right here it says on the letterhead, Capital One, and we're collecting on their behalf. I can tell you right now, they're not. Capital One is not going to carry bad debt on its books because Capital One is a large institution that has investors, and they're always seeking new investors. Chase is not going to carry a bunch of bad debt on its books. Wells Fargo, none of these third parties. If you look at your credit report, you're probably going to see 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, where if it's late after a certain period of time, and normally after the 30 days, they're already contemplating. If they hit that 60, they already know that you're not going to attempt to try to make good on it. They already know that. They know you just like I know you better than you know yourself when it comes to your finances. That's why I dove so deep for the last 30 years, exploring the theft of our financial resources. Exploring, I mean digging deep as far as I possibly could go to make sure that I had a valid understanding prior to doing anything related to resolving problems, resolving concerns, resolving these disturbing things that affect a good 60 to 70% of our population. I'm talking about black, brown, poor, working class. I'm talking about middle class. I'm talking about Asians, I'm talking about Caucasians, I'm talking about Middle East, and I'm talking about if you are living in a situation where your community is underserved, you fit primarily into this category. 60 to 70% of the population within the United States, I'm talking to you. All right, an original creditor may attempt to collect a past due debt or account itself. So they may come after you. They may say, hey, let's do it. But you can already, I can testify that they're not doing it. They may call you one day when that payment is late and say, hey, your payment is late, or they may send you email after email after email. Now that we're all linked to our phones, they might even attempt to send you SMS, or if you linked it so that they can get access to your credit card and you hopefully have some funds in there, they can deduct it. So they have methods and ways. So they will try to collect on a past due debt themselves. Or they may hire a debt collector. A debt collector is generally a third party. And I want you to listen to some of these words. Key in on definitive words or words that are not definitive. A debt collector is generally a third party who has been contracted to collect your debt or account. Who has been contracted, all right? Maybe not, because we just said here, it is generally a third party. Generally is vague. And the law doesn't cover all of everything, because if they had to put everything into the law, you'd have books this big, stacked high. All right, so that's why they use these generalities. You do not owe a third party. You do not owe a third party. There's some privacy issues that I have not dove into that protects you in that regard as well. But you do not owe a third party unless you sign a contractual understanding. You do owe the first party if the first party doesn't charge it off. Yes, that is a understanding that you must now know. If they charge it off, that means they have taken a deduction. That deduction reduces the original amount. And the United States government is very favorable to business, as we already know. They don't get to pay any taxes, but yet they keep getting rewarded for everything that they do that is an abuse upon us. They get rewarded. Yeah, it's sad to have to say that. Very sad. The name of the company contacting you about an unpaid debt may be different than the original creditor. We already know that. Who gave you the loan or credit? If a third party is collecting you, of course it's going to be a different name. But as I stated, you do not owe a third party. I don't care what name's on there. The original creditor also may, and again, using those key words, may is not a definitive. It may not. It may be green tomorrow, and it may be blue tomorrow. It may be sunny tomorrow, it may be rainy. We don't know. No definitive. All right, they may sell your debt or account to another party who may then collect the debt or place it in a different debt collector. And this is what happens right there. The original creditor also may, more than likely, the original creditor has sold that debt. It's profit for them. Why hold on to something that I'm not going to collect and then have potential lenders not invest in me? Why not sell it to somebody who can get some money for it, meaning I can get some money for it, and then not me, myself, I'm talking about the original creditor. And then they can give it or sell it to a third party who then uses the understanding, oh, well, I'm working for the original creditor. We already know that they're not working for the original creditor. The majority, if not all that money, goes right back into their pockets. You got to remember, it's an IRS understanding. No original creditor is going to go back into their IRS filings and then try to reconnect this dot to that dot about where this loan came from and that loan came from. No, because they're selling them in the bulks. They're selling them in bulks. They sell your debt just like Walmart or Sam's Club, Costco. They sell things in bulk. I can show you the page if I needed to, but if you want to find that out, definitely reach back out to me. I'll walk you through exactly how this process works. Millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in debt is sold on a regular basis. So again, you do not owe a third party. And if you need me to ever represent you or to speak on your behalf, let me know. Because that's what I do. I love it. I did it today for a good a client of mine who I had. Then another item came up, and the client reached right back out to me and said, "Hey, I need your assistance with this item." I thought it was dead and gone, he said, but it popped back up. Popped back up. And I'm so good at it that he knew exactly, hey, I'm going to call the person who helped me with the last one. So I'm always very grateful to the past clients and the ones who understand, hey, you know what? If I run into that situation, gotta do what Erica Badu tells everybody. Call Tyrone. All right? You do not owe a third party because that third party has bought your debt, and they will dupe you, trick you. They will do everything that they possibly can to get you to get into a new contractual understanding. Please do not get duped. Okay? Don't get taken advantage of. All right, the original creditor and the original creditor may attempt, again, to collect on a past due debt or account itself. All right, so remember that. They may. It also may hire a debt collector. All right, I'm reading this again because I need you all to understand the importance behind this. All right, a debt collector is generally a third party. You do not owe a third party. Looking at those words generally, it's generally, more than likely, it always is. But the CFPB in which I received this document from or this information from, of course, they're going to put wording in there that suits the business. They're not going to put wording in there that suits you, the consumer, even though they're supposed to be the Consumer Financial Protections Bureau. All right, so this is where I have the indifference with them as well, because the United States government should be doing everything to protect us, but it's still giving favors to those who are abusing us. All right, just that simple. A debt collector is generally a third party who has been contracted to collect your debt or account. The name of the the company connecting about your debt or unpaid debt may be different, as I stated, than the original creditor who gave you the loan or credit. You already know that. You know that as well as I know that. And if that's not the name coming from any of these, now, again, law firms, they're now diving into the debt collection business because it's very profitable. Because where does it end up? It ends up in the front of a judge if you end up going to court, and judges side with their peers. A lawyer is a judge's peer. Who do you have representing you? What, you're going to go out and get one of their peers to go in to represent you, or you're going to be settling? That's what you're going to be doing. Why settle when you can get it completely wiped off the face of the planet? Or giving them back what they paid for. One of the two. All right, just that simple. Just that simple. It's just that simple. So, number one, may attempt, may hire, may contract, which they do. All right? All right? They don't do any of the others. That's what they do. They may attempt, may hire, may contract. That's what they're going to do. Nothing else. May. These are not definitive words. All right? But they're going to anyway. They're going to give that debt for a price to the third party. And as soon as they give that debt to that third party, you are free and clear. You do not owe a third party. Hands down. Full stop. There is only general. All right, there is no general. There is no general. The debt collector is a third party. You have no contractual obligations to a third party. None. So there is no general. The third party is, or the debt collector is a third party, period. There is no general. You don't owe them unless you get back into a contractual understanding. Please be careful. Answer your mail. Answer it. Don't, again, I'm going to get to that in a minute. Let me finish this number 3 point. The original will, without a doubt, meaning the original creditor will, without a doubt, sell your debt for pennies on the dollar. The original creditor will, without a doubt, sell your debt for pennies on the dollar. That's profit for them. Why would they throw away profit to hire a bunch of people to hound, or not necessarily hound you, but to chase you down to get a debt that they already know you're not going to pay? Why? They might as well sell it pennies on the dollar to somebody else who's now have an incentive to go after that debt. and being that they know that you are unprepared, uninformed, lacking the education or the business verbiage to even go back and forth with them. I don't mind jousting. So if you need someone to joust for you, please let me know. I don't mind jousting. I do it all day and I love it. Something that I welcome. Because if you can't speak the languages, as I said before, if you go to a third world country, if you go to any country, excuse me about saying third world country, but if you go to any country and you don't have a translator or some form of a book or something that would help you be able to communicate, you're going to be pretty lost. So the same thing happens in business as well. You get these so-called professionals. They don't want to deal with anybody who doesn't speak their language. You even go into court, same thing. Same thing. I had a judge look at me talking about what do you think you're doing? What do you mean? What do you think I'm doing, Your Honor? I'm representing myself. Oh, I get it. I'm not supposed to be using the verbiage that your peers use, nor am I supposed to have the knowledge that you think as a citizen I'm not supposed to have. Oh, so you're going to try to dismiss me. I wish you would. I wish you would. Again, don't be afraid of judges. Don't be afraid of bailiffs. Don't be afraid of going to court. Go to court and find somebody like myself who can go into court with you. Oh, we're not dealing with this all our own any longer. We're not. If a landlord is going to send a lawyer to court to represent him, then you should be able to at least show up with somebody who can represent or assist you. Just that simple. That's why we have to do this together. But as you can see here, the average debt costs 4 cents on the dollar. If you had $1,000 debt, that debt is only worth 40 bucks. 40 bucks. 40 bucks. So if I was a debt collector and I knew that the original creditor had sold me that debt, and again, I bought it for 4 cents on the dollar. If it was $1,000, I paid 40 bucks for it. If I was a debt collector, I'd say, hey, you know what? I got your debt. I want to settle it. I don't want to gouge you. I don't want to take more than what I should be getting. But these gouging, greedy, understanding culprits of fraud, that's all they're doing. That's all they're doing. They're committing the egregious amount of fraud on those who are in the most vulnerable situations. Again, when I say, own up to yours, but don't put yourself in others' shoes because they're trying to gouge you. You need to know what your rights are. The more you know what your rights are, the more you start speaking and talking to individuals that can assist you, walk you through some of these particulars. You're going to find out that you're going to fare far better than trying to deal it or handle it on your own. 4 cents on the dollar. 4 cents on the dollar. All right? Don't get duped. Don't get pulled in as they are fishing. So that's all they're doing. It's a fishing expedition, especially if a debt collector calls you or if a debt collector just sends you correspondence. And I'm going to touch on that in just a minute. All right? 4 cents on the dollar. So prices buyers pay for purchase debt. All right? Buyers pay an average of 4 cents per dollar for debt face value. All right? 4 cents. 4 cents. Analysts of the price debt buyers paid for debt price. Purchase is more than 3,400 portfolios showed the average price was 4 cents per dollar. All right, so analysts, not me, people from the CFPB did the whole study and they said, wait a minute here. We just did a short little understanding of 34 portfolios and it showed us that the average debt was 4 cents. Older debt sold for a significant lower price than newer debt. Of course, because aged debt, as with anything in the business community, we have a markdown process. That's why I'm so effective at this. I've spent the last 30 years working for corporate America. I know the markup, the markdowns, everything. These are damaged goods. And damaged goods will not sell for the same price. Again, when you buy a car, you drive it off the lot, brand new. Depreciation. Soon as you roll it from the dealer's driveway onto the street, it has depreciated. The same thing happens with debt. The same thing. It's a commodity. If you don't understand that, you need to get with those who do. I can walk you through this so easy. It's on your credit report. You don't know about it. You need to start talking to somebody. My job is for the next 4 months and obviously beyond, but I put out a challenge, and this is called the Get It Together Challenge. Get it together, folks. There's no more time to be sitting around wondering, oh, the expert's not coming to me, or I can't find nobody who I can talk to. I'm here every Tuesday. My great friend Dr. Yana B is there every Wednesday. We are available. The experts are available. We want to talk to you. That's why we do what we do. That's why November 2nd at Yonkers Library, guess who's going to be there talking about this very same topic, and I hope that you join me. All right, so debt, the price of debt older than 15 years was virtually zero. That's zombie debt. 15 years, virtually zero zombie debt, but some of you might still be getting hit with the full amount to a third party. Remember that, third party, third party. And if you're ending up in court because you signed a agreement with a third party, again, I can help you out of that. I can help you out of that. So as your homework assignment for every single person listening and those who aren't listening, I want those who are listening to make sure that you're telling your friends and family and loved ones, all right, that if they get a letter in the mail, don't ignore those letters. The phone calls, not too worried about. Not too worried about, because they already know that they can't call you at a certain time, and plus, you do not have to answer a phone call. If you choose to answer a phone call and the person gets on the line and they say, hey, this is so-and-so debt collection company, and this call is being recorded for quality assurance and training purpose. This is an attempt to collect the debt, and anything you say will be used for that purpose. I didn't verbatimly give it to you, but you get the gist. All right? And they say, is this so-and-so? You make sure you utter, this is a so-and-so. Again, is this Tyrone Glover? Yes, this is a Tyrone Glover. I just found out in my own city there's another Tyrone Glover. Yes, it's Tyrone T. Glover. There's a boxer also, not related, and his name is Tyrone Glover. So that's why it's so important to say you are a name that they might be, because that means that this individual is fishing. All right? And anyone fishing, they're just looking to snap you up. And as soon as you start divulging information, they gotcha. They gotcha. So don't divulge anything that is not necessary. Again, 15 years, virtually zeros. Zero. Buyers paid similar prices for debt purchased from the original creditor and reseller once the analyst controlled the other observable characteristics of the debt, such as the age and type. All right? So again, 4 cents on the dollar. The highest anyone ever pays for debt was 9 cents. Don't get caught in these types of situations thinking that you owe a third party. You don't know how to negotiate. You got to find someone who does. Call Tyrone. Leverage credit recovery. I'm telling you, it's going to save you anguish. It's going to save you headache. It's going to save you all of this uncertainty about, oh, should I, oh, ha, huh. No, we're not hemming and hawing any longer when it comes to how do we handle debt. The experts are here to assist. We want to. That's the beauty of it. It's not that we're doing it because we're looking to get a huge payday. I could care less about a payday. What I could care more about is making sure that you are financially secure and stable, not just for you, but I'm almost certain there's some little ones behind you. There might be some middle little ones behind you, meaning kids that you've already had and who now may have kids. So there are individuals behind you that you are going to be solidifying, making sure that their financial situations will be stable. This is why you're learning this. This is why you're doing this. For that reason and for that reason only. It's really, 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 really critically important that you understand how your debt is being processed, how your debt is being handled, how much is that debt once it goes into a third party's hands, what happens with that debt after it's being charged off. These things are important because they're showing up on your credit reports. If you have not received the credit report, go back to my last 2 shows. There is a show there on Soul City Digital. All right? That's where I'm sending everybody, Soul City Digital on YouTube. And look through all of the various videos that they have there, and you'll find a video that shows you exactly how to get your credit report from annualcreditreport.com. Now, Annual Credit Report is giving these out weekly for free. Don't worry about the score. If your data is wrong, guess what's also equally wrong? The score. All right? So why can't they verify? Why is it that these companies can't seem to verify your debt? Well, buyers typically, again, typically, it's not a definitive word. All right, you got to be careful with these understandings. Typically receive the information required for it. They typically receive it, but that means they probably also don't receive it because it is a violation of privacy. It's not that hard to understand that. We have acts that protect our privacy. So that's why they have that typically in there. All right, buyers also typically receive additional information that could make validation notice more useful, but they usually do not provide it to consumers. Oh, I wonder why. Because they want to dupe us, because they want to lie, because they want to cheat, because they want to steal. They want to take public trust that's been entrusted in them and they want to capitalize. That's all they think about. How much money can I get off these so-called deadbeats? Remember what I told you. You're only responsible. Your only piece is 10%. You were never taught this in school. You were never taught this in college. You were never taught this in any of the understandings that should have been afforded to you so you could go into life as a well-prepared citizen. Well, now that you're 50, 40, 30, now you're getting it. So that's why I'm saying you're only 10% responsible for what you didn't know. And anybody wants to challenge you or me, take it to court. I'm open for any court situation. Because once I explain it in the manner in which I explain it, using the exact same verbiage that a lawyer would use, and the funniest thing about that, I know more about debt than these lawyers. Yes, I know more about debt than these lawyers. It's sad to have to say that. Absolutely. Lawyers are looking for a payday. They don't even know who their clients are. These debt collection companies have no clue. None. Zero. A law firm that decides to take on debt has absolutely zero clue. Why? Because I just talked to one today. Had zero clue. This individual tried to keep moving the goalpost. Told me that I needed to do a power of attorney, specified it exactly to the client's understanding as I spoke with the client, and the client said, hey, yes, here's what we need to do. I said, let me go ahead and put this into a power of attorney. I've only put one item down there, and that was the item that we're going to be talking about. And lo and behold, oh, we didn't get your power of attorney. Oh, you need to do this, and you need to do that, and you need to do this. I said, hold on there, sir. You must think I'm an idiot. Because in the original conversation that we had, we talked about what you needed. And you told me, all we need is this. Now, all of a sudden that you received that, and we started telling you about how you didn't even process the brief itself correctly, not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. But I've been through so many of these that I can almost verbatim tell you what needs to be on these forms that you're sending to the courts. And a lot of times, because they have such a great relationship with court clerks, they're not even doing half the work. So please, I'm encouraging all of you. If you're getting correspondence in the mail, if you're getting, more or less the correspondence in the mail is what I'm really concerned about. Do not sleep on those correspondences. Make sure you're answering them. And if you're not sure, make sure you're reaching out to somebody who can assist you. Buyers rarely receive dispute history. So this is why they can't validate it. This is why they keep getting it wrong. They're capitalizing because they're getting it wrong because of what you're seeing here. And they're capitalizing because you're giving them monies that they're not entitled to. It's just that simple. They're giving you monies that they're not entitled to. Not entitled to. Buyers receive few underlining documents about debts. Okay, I mean, this is startling. And this came from the CFPB, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I'm not pulling this out of the sky. I'm not pulling this out of my rear. Okay, I'm getting this from the sources that want us to know these understandings. Accuracy of information provided about debt at times is so not guaranteed. All right? So that means that they can't even guarantee that the information that they're getting is valid. Why would you validate something when you know for a fact that you bought it, but you can't guarantee that the information is valid? So you're going to do what? You're going to do a fishing expedition. That's what you're going to do. You're going to keep throwing that line out and hoping you have the right person. You're going to keep mailing that because you bought it at pennies on the dollar. So you probably said, well, if I bought it at $40, talking about $1,000 debt, if I bought it at $40, I'm going to probably invest another $60 to take it up to $100. But it's $1,000. If I get $6, I made $500 profit. What debt collector would not do that? Knowing that, again, when you call, say, hey, I got this brief in the mail. Oh, there's going to be this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Then the guy or the girl is going to go and say, well, let me go talk to my boss. And then they're going to come back and say, wait a minute. My boss told me to hook you up. He said, we're not going to take the 1,000 from you, but we're going to give you a special deal. 650. Ooh, that sounds great, doesn't it? Huh? And you're going to be sitting there, you couldn't pay the 1,000 originally, but now you're going to sit there and him and haw whether or not you want to give this person 650. So you're going to do something, which we all do. Well, how about 550? Then they're going to come back and say, you know what? I talked to my boss again. He said, the best we can do is 625. And you're going to be, all right, I got it. That works for me, knowing good and well that it doesn't work for you. You know it doesn't, because I've done it myself. A lot of the consumers that I've helped have done the exact same thing, and then we're right back into not meeting our contractual obligation to somebody that we don't even owe money to. Accuracy of information in seller's document, not guaranteed. Limitations were placed on debt buyers' access to account documents. Limitations. Why would the CFPB put into an understanding that limitations have been placed? So that means they're telling you they have zero rights. Zero rights for a third party. This is why they cannot validate that debt. This is why you must, every time that you get something in the mail from a third party asking you to do something, give them some money that they know they're not entitled to, you have to validate that debt. You have to get it verified. And a lot of times, because of what I'm showing you here, they can't verify the debt. If they were to take you to court, you have all of the documents showing, hey, you didn't even do your part according to the 5 Consumer Protection Acts that are out there to protect you. And additional limitations apply to the resale of purchased debt. Additional limitations apply. That means it helps you, the consumer. What you don't know is harming you. Let's get into the understanding of taking care of ourselves. That's why I do these types of shows. If you have not received your annual credit report, please do that by the end of this week. Get it. Reach back out to Leverage Credit Recovery. In a minute, I'm going to show you my link tree, but if you can't get it to me, please send it to Soul City Network. They're on Facebook. They're on YouTube. You can go to their YouTube digital channel. You can see my information there on the digital channel. If you can't get it to me for whatever reason, send it to them. They'll make sure I get it. All right, so here's the summary. We're going to wrap this up. The summary. If you do not know your rights, you don't have them. It's just that simple. If you don't know your rights, you don't have them. Just as simple. Got to know what is there to protect you. If you don't know that, they're not there to protect you. It's just that simple. Adverse inference. This is where that ties it all in. You get a correspondence in the mail, you don't respond to it. It's going to lead up into the persons or the bodies that sent it to you. They're going to use this term here. Adverse inference is a legal inference adverse to the concerned party drawn from the silence or absence of requested evidence. That goes for you as well. If they don't respond to your correspondence, now you're in the same position. You can use that against them. So if they were to go to court, you can say to the judge, hey, I tried to contact them and these folks didn't even respond. So I want you to dismiss this item. Don't be afraid of the courts, people. I'm telling you, I've been in there so many times. I love it. I love it. It was intimidating at first. Yes, no question, because I'm looking at all of these people who are apparently supposed to be smarter than me. They get up there speaking the, oh, hey, judge, and so forth and so on, my friend, and when we're going to have some beers, and when we're going to have the dinner, and whatever. Yeah, they chummying it up. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, there's a little bit something odd here. So let me get smarter, because it seems like these guys are just buddy-buddy, loving each other. But once we got smarter and started speaking that language, then all of a sudden things started to change. So again, adverse inference. If you do not respond or they do not respond, draw from their silence or absence because you're requesting evidence. It is part of evidence code based on common law in various countries. obviously in this country. And according to Law Vibe, the adverse inference can be quite damning. All right, it could be damning at trial. And how do I know that? Because I got to give it to Raskin, Jamie Raskin. Thank you so much, Senator Raskin, because if it were not for him, I would not know about this because of what he provided in the Trump's impeachment. Adverse inference made me dive deeper into that legal aspect and how can I apply it to the very same principles of debt, and it works out tremendously. So mind your mail. Avoid mail because, avoid unopening your mail because it might be a creditor. And the creditor will result in potential garnishment or summary judgment. You do not want that to happen because you decided not to respond to a particular item. Open that mail. You now have my contact information, leveragecreditrecovery@gmail.com. You have my telephone number, 805-428-9424. This is important. Do not sleep on that mail that's coming to your house and you're just terrified to open it. Don't be terrified. I'm giving you now all the fortitude and the strength that you need for anything that's coming in that household that you are unsure about when it's debt related. Let's take care of these things now because when the new year comes about, when they have all of these new resources after this November 8th understanding of our election, which I'm hoping that everybody gets out, please do your due diligence. Your due diligence is not going to jury duty. Okay? Your due diligence is not locking your peers up. Your due diligence is voting. And it should be an understanding that that should be what we should be doing when we get something, a summons. We should get a summons to go to vote, not a summons to go to lock somebody up for jury duty. You can see how backwards we are in this country. So, but don't think my passion and love for this understanding is in any way aggressive or angry. No, I'm the happiest, positive person on the whole planet. You'd be surprised. You would be surprised, but I'm passionately in love with this subject matter. I'm a fanatic. Like people are fanatics about baseball and football and soccer and tennis and rugby and hockey and whatever sport that's out there or whatever it is that they like, rapping and clothing and whatever. I'm a fanatic about financial literacy. The more you know, the more you will prosper. I'm telling you, it's just that easy. All right, so here's some contact details. The website, Leverage Credit Recovery. Our phone number, 805-428-9424. Please, again, if you are unsure, write that number down. Leverage Credit Recovery is our website. And if you do not and have not, we got a link tree. Link tree is so cool. It is so cool. It allows for you to link particular items, events, videos. That's where you can go. If you have not tuned in and you want to share this with some of your friends and family, please send them over to my link tree. That link tree is a brilliant understanding that allows for you to, again, all you got to do is link tree, leverage credit recovery. Link tree, leverage credit recovery. And if you can read that down there, link tree, leverage credit recovery, we are now taking a biblical approach to financial recovery. A biblical approach. And you're probably wondering, well, what's a biblical approach? I realized I'm more like Moses. I need to bring my people out of these horrible circumstances. I need to depart these seas of bad debt and irresponsible companies and have us walk clearly through to the other side. If we can do that, folks, I'm telling you, your lives are going to be so much better for the beginning of the year. And we'll talk more about how we're going to address the next 4 months. Yes, 4. November, October, December, November, December, January, February. By February 1, we're going to be having a whole new conversation. All right, so there's the website. There's the link tree. There's the phone number. Again, 805-428-9424. And the website is leveragecreditrecovery.com. You can also find my link tree. Again, link tree, Leverage Credit Recovery. And as always, folks, I got to thank you because without you, none of this would be possible. So thank you so much for gracing me with your presence. Thank you so much for giving me the time to be part of your Tuesday, your afternoon. Thank you. I appreciate you all immensely. And without you, none of this would be possible. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in. My name is Tyrone Glover. I am the Dress Down CEO of Leverage Credit Recovery. I wish you and yours a positive, a happy, a wonderful Tuesday and the rest of your week. Be safe, America.